Broadcasting from Cincinnati, you're listening to the Ringside Reporter podcast. All the news from the world of boxing right here.
Well, I'm talking to you the way I want to talk to you.
Now, here's your host, Eric Lorda.
And we are live. Welcome to the Ringside Reporter Show, where we talk about the latest boxing news. If it's related to boxing, we'll talk about it here. My name is Eric Lorta, and I'm here with my co-host, Joe Habib. We got a great show for you today, and if you want to call and ask questions, 323-870-3857. And tonight, we're going to talk about a few things, but one of the big topics here, Wilder versus Helenius. The numbers are in, the pay-per-view numbers are in, and they didn't look too promising here, so more on that later. But, hey, let's get to it. ESPN+. Beeb, I've told you a million times, I love how they treat our boxers. The main event last night, Duke Reagan versus Luis Lebron. Unbelievable. Duke Reagan, the credit that they give him, putting him on these main event cards all the time, headlining in New York, no less. See, he's proven to me that he can sell out arenas, because every arena he's been has either been close to or fully sold out. You're talking about an Olympian, Beeb. You're talking about a guy from Cincinnati who's made it to the top, selling out venues. Just, it blows my mind. Future star here. He's got the biggest upside of anybody, I would say, in boxing history right now. Duke Reagan. Reagan continues his winning ways as he smashes Luis Lebron by the scores of 77-75, which I thought was a little close, 78-74, which is much better, and 79-73. And once again, I even thought the 79-73 was a little bit closer than it should have been. Duke whitewashed this kid. It wasn't even close. I would think that Duke Reagan is probably the best boxer out today. Beeb, I don't know if I mentioned this. Do you know he's from Cincinnati?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was incredible. If you have a chance to see this, if you didn't see it last night, go watch it, because you're watching the best going today. That's what I'm telling you. All right. Now, on to the co-main event. Vasyl Lomachenko versus Jermaine Ortiz. And Lomachenko wins a unanimous decision over Jermaine Ortiz by the scores of 115-113, 116-112, and 117-111. Honestly, I got to be honest, man. I love Lomachenko. I really do. But really was not that impressed with him in this fight. I thought Ortiz was a little too big for him. Loma had some issues early with Ortiz. I think the size, I think his strength played into it. But soon after, Loma seemed to settle in. He started winning rounds. I had the fight 115-113 for Loma. After the fight, Loma called out Devin Haney. And I got news for you guys, man. That fight right there, complete mismatch. Haney is going to dog walk Loma in that. If that fight happens, Haney's dog walking him. If the Shakur fight happens, Shakur is going to dog walk him. Listen, what I saw last night in that fight. I saw a guy who's had a lot of fights, amateur and professional, and you're starting to see a decline there.
Slippage. Okay.
He's not as fast as he used to be. He's not as he's not as defensive as he used to be. He's not as defensively responsible as he used to be. Let's say that. Not that the guy he was fighting was, good or bad, doesn't matter. I'm telling you what I'm seeing. Loma should have washed that guy, and he didn't. And I've noticed this for the past couple of fights. We're starting to see a decline. Now, listen, man, don't get mad at me. I didn't do anything. I didn't cause the decline. Just is. It's part of boxing. There's a lot of Loma fans out there throwing over furniture. I can't believe he said that. Listen, it is what it is. He is going on a decline now. He's not going to win those big fights. I really believe he's not going to win. He's not beating Haney. He's not beating Shakur. I'll be honest with you. I don't think he beats Gervonta Davis right now. I think Tank ices that guy. So, B, what were your thoughts on this, man?
You made an excellent statement, and I kind of want to elaborate more on what you said, that his defense isn't what it used to be. And when you have a fighter whose defense primarily has been his legs, right? Because his biggest thing was getting in there, moving out of harm's way, and getting out there and resetting, right? And as you get older, what's the first thing that goes? Your legs, right?
Legs.
And he's never been that guy like a James Toney or a Bernard Hopkins or even an Andre Ward to some degree, where they had, their defense was a lot of, they could stay stationary in the pocket and make you miss. Floyd Mayweather, same thing, can make you miss and pay Pernell Whitaker with upper body movement, right? And that's why when those guys got older, they transitioned well into their later years because of the style they had. But when you have a fighter a la Roy Jones, a la Muhammad Ali, whose their primary defense was their legs, their movement. Sergio Martinez, another guy, we saw what Cotto did to him as he got older, right? So when your defense is your legs, it doesn't bode well for you in your later years. Now, I get a lot of flack for saying this once again, and I know people that the same people that are going to have flipped over chairs after what you just said, they're probably going to start putting holes in their walls after what I'm going to be saying right now. Like I said before, and I'll say it again, if I had a vote, I would vote Lomachenko into the Hall of Fame tomorrow, right?
Absolutely.
Great
Absolutely.
fighter.
Better than Arturo Gatti.
Correct. But I do think a lot of people have overrated him, right? When you hear things like, oh, well, he's got the highest power punch connect ratio in boxing history, and it's in lightweight history, even higher than Roberto Duran. Okay, that's like saying a guy's batting 1,000 when he only gets up 10 times, and the guy who got up 100 times is batting 450. What's more impressive? I mean, look how many more fights Roberto Duran had. So they go out of their way to kind of elevate Lomachenko and make him more than what he is. I never thought he was a better fighter than Terence Crawford when they were trying to say that Lomachenko was the best fighter in the sport. To me, Terence Crawford, much more versatile, much more talented fighter than Lomachenko. And again, that's not a slight. That's just me being real. Now, he's always been undersized at lightweight, and you saw when he entered the lightweight division, he started getting hit more than he's ever gotten hit before. The percentages of the percentage of the times that his opponents were hitting him were much higher than it was at 130 and 126. And he's even admitted he had a hard time dealing with these guys, the taller and longer guys. He's a mid-range guy. He's not an inside fighter. He's really not a great outboxer either. He's a mid-range guy. He's an ambush mid-range guy. Likes to go in and out. He'll turn you, right? He's kind of a pattern fighter too. Like does have great movement, and he does move from side to side. But when he does create those angles, those are defensive angles. He'll move side to side to create problems for his opponent to hit him, right? It's hard for his opponent to pin him down. But when he does attack, he does always stop in the middle and move straight in. Now, again, you still got to time him and all that. I get that. But he is kind of a pattern fighter, sort of like how Manny Pacquiao was. They tend to fight in the same rhythmic patterns, and they have the same attack patterns over and over again. Once again, you still got to time those attack patterns. Don't get me wrong, right? So he's a great fighter, but I think his time has come. And he has a hard time fighting guys who are bigger and longer that do know how to fight on the outside. And when he does try to get close or whatever, when guys wrap him up, Jermaine Ortiz wrapped him up, and he was kind of bullying him and muscling him and walking him back, releasing the clinch and pushing him off. And he was jabbing off of those clinches that he was releasing to. And Jermaine Ortiz did very well in that fight. Like you, I had it 115 and 113 as well. Credit to Loma. I thought he won the last 4 rounds. You could argue that 12th round was a swing. But nevertheless, he's undersized for this division. He's starting to slow down with his legs. And I just don't think he can beat Haney. I just don't think he can beat Haney because Haney knows how to use his length. He knows how to use his length. He's got a phenomenal jab. And if Lomachenko does get close, he can grab him, walk him back, lean on him, push him backward, and not allow Loma to use his legs, not allow Loma to attempt to outmaneuver him. I just think he's going to have a hard time dealing with the younger, stronger, quicker, fresher Devin Haney. And I think I think it could turn into it could possibly be another one-sided fight for Devin Haney. And I say that with all due respect to Lomachenko. I just think it's a horrible style matchup for Lomachenko. I think if he can't operate in that mid-range, he will get beat on the outside, just like he was getting beat on the outside last night when there was distance between the two of them. Jermaine Ortiz was really doing some good work with the jab, really throwing the right hand over the top from a distance, similar to what Teofimo Lopez did when he kept him on the outside of his jab. So that's going to be a big issue for him moving forward. I think that Paulie Malignaggi's made statements like he doesn't think Devin Haney's going to take this fight. I mean, Devin Haney walked into the ring and practically challenged him to the fight.
Devin Haney is going to crush this guy. This fight isn't even close. I'm going to tell you, it's a mismatch, Beeb. I'm telling you right now, this fight is a wash.
I think it is at this point.
He ain't coming close to beating Haney.
He's not beating Haney.
He's not beating Haney. He wouldn't even. He's not beating Shakur at this point. He's not beating Haney at this point. I said it before to come on the air. He's not beating Gervonta Davis at this point. I think Gervonta Davis washes him.
Nacho makes a good point about Devin Haney making 135. I think he can do it one more time, Nacho. I think he can. I think he'll fight Lomachenko. That will be his last fight at 135.
He can absolutely make 135. Yeah.
And I do think Top Rank will make it worth Devin Haney's while to make 135.
Yeah, they're making that fight.
Because Top Rank wants to fight, ESPN, everybody wants to fight. So both guys are going to get taken care of, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah, I mean, they're going to – Bob Arum said after, he said they're going to do everything they can to make this fight. So that fight will happen. They're both in-house fighters. Devin Haney walked into the ring. He wants to fight. He's not going. I mean, why would he walk into the ring if he's not it? You know what I mean? Of course they're going to fight. It's the easiest fight to make next. It really is. It's a no-brainer. I just don't think Loma wins this fight, though.
Yeah.
I just think that, like I said, man, we've been noticing the past couple of fights, there's been a decline there. That time off, he was almost off, what, a year?
Almost a year.
Almost a year? That ain't helping you out either, son.
And I'm going to get in trouble for saying this, but I'm going to say it. Maybe he wasn't ready for Campo. I don't know if he wasn't ready for Kambosos. I think he would have beaten Kambosos. He said that he was staying in Ukraine, to help out over there. But Alexander Usyk was asked the same question. You were over there, but you decided to come back and fight Joshua. And Usyk's response was, "Yeah, I mean, I was there for moral support to help out my country, like give them moral support. I am not a soldier."
Yeah, they're not putting them guys in the front lines.
Yeah, did it make sense for Loma to stay as long as he did there? I mean, what could he have done if he's not a soldier? Neither is Usyk. So should he? Is it his? I mean, did he put himself just like when he accepted the franchise? And again, this is controversial. This is controversial, and if you can criticize this if you want, I welcome it. I mean, I'm not saying this. This is just my opinion. I'm not saying that my opinion is the gold standard here. Well, it kind of is, but I just think that because they're not soldiers, what could they have done there? I mean, you go there, spend some time for moral support, but Usyk came back and he fought Joshua and he beat him. So I do think Lomachenko did miss up on a golden opportunity. I think he should have taken the Kambosos fight because, in my opinion, and it's not even my place to say it, but in my opinion, from the outside looking in, you did all you could do. I think you should have came back and taken the Kambosos fight. And I think by him accepting that franchise designation, I think that kind of screwed things up too. So some of these moves that he made that I think kind of stagnated his career a little bit, I think were his own fault. And I think that they were bad moves in my opinion. But again, that's just my opinion. What do I know?
Yeah, I don't mind that he stayed over there. I don't. I really don't mind. I think if you asked him, he has probably zero regrets about it. He's staying there to help his country. I don't have any problems with it. Sometimes things are bigger than sports, you know what I mean? So,
Fair
but
enough.
that's what he chose. But that's what he chose,
Fair
you
enough.
know? So, you know, and how old is Loma now?
I think he's closing in on 34, I think. He's getting up there. And keep in mind,
That's old for a
already
fighter, man.
well, keep in mind though, as you already stated, the guys had an excessively long amateur career, and that takes years off your pro career, right?
Absolutely
So,
does.
totality of time he spent in his lifetime boxing is equivalent to probably a hundred Sugar Ray Robinson's pro career, of 170. Like this guy, how many amateur fights has this guy had? They've said he's had over 300
Couple
amateur
hundred, or
fights.
300 maybe, or
You
I
got
know he's
300
been
amateur.
to the Olympics twice, right?
Yeah, I think
He's
he's
got
been in
2
the Olympics
medals or
twice,
something, right? Or
something like
1
that. Yeah.
medal. I don't know.
I think he got one gold medal, but I'm not sure if he's been in a couple of Olympics. But
Yeah.
here's the thing: like I said, if you count in the amount of time spent in the amateurs, he's got a lot of miles on him. So it is what it is.
I don't know, man. To me, and Dale hit it on the head. He said, "Total respect for Loma for halting his boxing career to defend his country." I get you. Yeah, and Notorious said he's got 2 golds.
Yeah,
what's that?
No, I mean, like, I understand like the whole defend his country thing, but again, he's not a soldier, so you're there for moral support.
But he did help people over there. I mean, you are helping people. I imagine
I'm not saying
they've got
to
him
help
doing
people.
something.
I'm not saying help people, but
Right.
again, how much of an there's only so much you can do. In other words.
I agree.
That's just my opinion.
And I agree with you. I do. In a boxing sense, it hurts you. As his heart goes in his country, I think he did the right thing. I don't really think there's a wrong answer. I really don't. Whatever he decides was the right answer.
Yeah. It's not even for me to say, but again, I say a lot of things that it's not for me to say. I wouldn't be who I am if I didn't, right?
All right, let's talk about Robesi Ramirez versus Jose Matias Romero. Ramirez wins by TKO over Romero. The fight was stopped in the 9th round. Robesi looks good. But I thought he could have got that guy out of there sooner. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. My wife just texted me, so we know not to rely on Beeb in a war. Beeb, how dare you? Beeb's a veteran.
I have a DD 214 that I just sent to Comcast that got me a military discount coupon. Beeb is official.
He's official. How
Let me tell you
dare
this.
you?
Let me tell you this.
Try to take a dump on the Beeb.
At 53 years old, I'm not a soldier anymore. And Loma's not a soldier either. He's 33. I mean, you're not a soldier anymore. Fighting is for the youngins.
That's right.
That's the fact of the matter.
Notorious says Mrs. Lorda's out of line. I tell her that all the time.
Beeb has a DD 214 in his closet right now that he can pull out on command. That's those are my papers. I had to send him to Comcast so I can get my discount. I was a marksman. I got the medals.
There it is.
I was good with a freaking M16. That's how old I was. They have AR-15s. I was using M16s.
Beeb was good at the muskets, man. What are you talking about? He was fine. Did you have to reload after every shot? Did you have to reload it and
nice
pack it down and stuff?
Nice magazine with 32 shells. little banana clip action, baby.
Little banana clips. Nico Ali Walsh versus Billy Wagner. In case anybody out there didn't know, Nico Ali Walsh is the grandson of Muhammad Ali. He won a unanimous decision, 58-56 twice and 59-55. I'll tell you what, man. I thought he looked good. I thought he looked good, man. I really did. I think he could be good, but I think they're going to rush him. They're going to keep him at, until they get a prospect that comes along that they need to, advance or whatever. But he looked good, man. He really did. Showtime. What's that?
I was gonna say they're doing what I mean, they're moving him correctly.
Yeah. He is getting better. Jake Paul versus Anderson Silva on Showtime pay-per-view. I did not buy this fight, and I don't hate that I didn't. I did see the fight, though. We did see the fight. Yeah. It was good. It was good. Jake Paul wins a unanimous decision over Anderson Silva by the scores of 77-74 and 78-73 twice. Jake Paul's from Titletown, so what did you expect? I had the fight 77-74 for Silva. I thought Silva was winning the fight, but it was close. Jake floored Anderson in the 8th round. Paul fought well, man, better than anybody expected to, and to win this fight, it's the biggest of his career. After the fight, he called out Nate Diaz and Canelo Alvarez. I think one of those fights can happen. But, overall, like I said, I thought Anderson won the fight, but I'm not mad Jake won. I thought he did pretty good. I thought he surprised me by he seemed to have more energy on the back end of the fight than he did in the front end, which was, everybody's always talking about Jake, losing steam as he goes in. B, what were your thoughts on this?
This fight was kind of a tough fight to score, but I do think Jake Paul's activity kind of carried the day. I think, Anderson Silva did land some good left hands in the fight, but they were far fewer in between. I think Jake Paul was the one controlling the action. He was the ring general. He was pushing Anderson Silva back. I thought that Anderson Silva started slowing down later in the fight, and I think Paul showed me some good stamina. He showed me some consistency. He was just as active towards the end of the fight as he was in the beginning. He was landing some good right hands over the top. He controlled his distance and spacing pretty well. He didn't fall for too many of Anderson Silva's traps. Anderson Silva, I think, was waiting a little bit too much, hoping that Jake Paul would go deeper in the pocket than he did, so he could run him into something. And Jake Paul wasn't, he wasn't taking the bait. So I thought it was a solid performance from Jake Paul. I mean, people are going to sit there and say that Anderson Silva is 47 years old, and you can't get past the fact that he is 47 years old.
He's 47,
this 47-year-old could probably beat a lot of guys who are probably half his age. So I'll give him credit for that.
Thought he looked good. I thought he looked real good. Who do you think he fights next? You think he fights Nate Diaz next?
Nate Diaz.
That makes the most sense. That's a good fight. That's a real good fight. Nate Diaz can box. Andre Ward used to spar them regularly, both Diaz brothers regularly. So he said, Ward says, hey, they are legit. They can fight. So there you go. On DAZN, we had Jojo Diaz versus William Zepeda. Zepeda rolls over Diaz by unanimous decision, 119-109 twice and 118-110. Beeb, what were your thoughts here?
I picked Zepeda to win this fight by knockout. And on the roundtable last week, we were split on this fight. D-Style and myself thought Zepeda would win handily. The rest of the panelists actually picked Jojo. To me, again, Jojo is only 29 years old, but he's kind of an old 29 in the sport because of his outside lifestyle. I think he's taken a lot of years off his career. I'm not saying when Jojo enters training camp, he doesn't prepare himself properly, doesn't train hard. But once again, if you're starting your training camp, with a great distance away from the finish line, in other words, so you want to go into camp relatively in decent shape. You're not going to be in your prime condition, obviously, but if you're going into training camp and you're, like I said, a lot farther away from the finish line than you should be, and your starting point is not a good starting point, then your camp isn't going to be the best camp it could be, right? So I just think that Jojo's had some outside issues and has a style where he's undersized for this division, but he has a style in which he kind of acts like he's like a mini Mike Tyson in the way that he fights, thinking that he can just kind of bulldoze guys and overwhelm guys with his pressure, but he's not a big puncher, right? And William Zepeda, to me, was a bigger, stronger, younger, faster version of Jojo Diaz with a little with some pretty decent punching power, right? So I just think that, William Zepeda outworked Jojo Diaz, and I think he really pushed him back, and Jojo Diaz couldn't get any forward momentum in this fight. And Jojo Diaz does not fight well off the back foot. He's a come forward type guy who likes to apply pressure of his own. And if he's going in there with a guy who can do it better than him, then he's going to be up against it. Now, I hate to say this because I know we do this quite frequently here on the show, but the DAZN broadcast team is the worst broadcast team ever. And I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say,
talking about.
I'm gonna go out here on a limb and say that Sergio Mora is probably the worst boxing analyst in the history of the sport. He's sitting there during the fight saying that this fight is close and it's competitive, right? And meanwhile, Chris Mannix gave Jojo Diaz the 6th round and the 6th round only. The judges gave him 1 round, and one judge gave him 2 rounds. This fight was not even remotely close or competitive. And then when you're sitting there, like, they were openly rooting for Jojo Diaz, like, oh, I need Jojo to do this. Why should you need him to do anything unless you got money on the fight? You're a commentator. You don't need anyone to do anything. You commentate on what's going on. And then after the fight, after the scorecards are read, and Chris Mannix said that he only won 1 round, then he goes, yeah, this was a one-sided beatdown. Which one is it, Sergio? You said it was competitive, and you're basically trying to create some type of narrative that isn't there because it's clear that you're biased towards Jojo Diaz. And then at the end of the fight, he's like, "Oh, this was a one-sided beatdown." Worst broadcast team ever, man. I have
no idea why DAZN never picked up Jim Lampley. I love Jim Lampley. I like the way he calls fights. No idea why they never picked up Jim Lampley. No idea why they never picked up Roy Jones. They suck. Chris Mannix sucks.
Sergio Mora is horrible.
I'm not going to go that far. Sergio Mora sucks. Who's the other guy they got on there?
Todd Grisham.
He sucks too.
WWE guy.
Oh yeah, he sucks too.
It's just horrible, man. I can't.
They're horrible.
He's just ridiculous.
And that was the main event. How about that was the main event on DAZN? How about that was the main event?
Yeah.
Give me a break. Also on DAZN, the Katie Taylor versus Karen Carbajal. Nobody really cares about that fight, so we're going to move forward.
Oh, take it easy.
What'd I do?
I have to be honest with you. Very, very, very uneventful fight. I mean, Katie
Shocking. Shocking.
Katie Taylor won every round.
Wait. We had a chick fight that was what? Uneventful?
Yeah.
Well,
let's
just stop the presses.
Let's
just stop the presses here. The chick fight was uneventful. I, for one, am shocked. That much I can tell you, Beeb.
It wasn't a great fight. It was a very one-sided fight.
Yeah. Who could have predicted that? And after 20 minutes of action, Katie Taylor goes home the champ. After 20 minutes versus 36 on the men's side. I'm just saying, not that it's a comparison. I'm just saying that, if you're a man, you got to fight 36 minutes versus, being a chick, you're 20 minutes. There you go. Dale, I think you got that right. He said Eric sleeps on the couch every Sunday. Pretty much. That's it. And there's Lisa. Watch it, Lorta. Yeah. Yeah, but really, was this a main event fight? Even for girls. This was not a main event fight, right?
DAZN had some good fights this year, but I don't think this was an overall solid year for DAZN. We got that fight next week. That's a pretty good fight, but I don't know. Some of the other cards, I don't think they've been consistent, in my opinion.
No. Don Ramon agrees with me. He said, I skipped the Katie Taylor fight. She's cool, though. No disrespect, just preference. That's right. That's all it is. I've got no disrespect toward them.
You like what you like. There's no way of getting around that.
That's right. And I don't like inferior boxing. That's it. All right. Let's talk about, before we go to the upcoming fights, I see Robert's on the line, our birthday boy. Robert, Beeb, it is Robert's birthday this weekend.
before you start spewing your ridiculous nonsense, I want to just wish you a happy birthday, man.
Oh, that's nice. That's very nice. That's very nice.
I want to wish you a happy birthday, Robert, before you start off with your
Thank you, guys. And
Joe,
I'm not going to spew anything ridiculous. Joe, I'm not going to spew anything ridiculous.
Before you stop polluting our airwaves with your nonsense, I want to wish you a happy birthday.
No, I'm not going to spew any nonsense today because I don't have any nonsense to spew.
How old are you? 72?
58.
72.
58.
Well, you look 72, but
72.
Oh my God.
Did you get your
Robbie's
senior
only
citizen?
58.
Yeah.
He's a young man, for Christ's sake.
You get your senior citizens discount yet?
Yeah.
Oh, stop it.
I've been getting senior citizen discounts since I was 55, Joe.
Oh, good. Did you get that present I sent you in the mail?
Happy 82nd birthday.
Yeah.
Did you get that? Did you get that present I sent you in the mail?
remember, in a couple of years, Joe, you'll be eligible for senior discounts too. So.
Well, don't worry about that. I'll find a way to get it earlier than that. me being a hustler that I am.
No.
Did Beeb even wish you a happy birthday this weekend, Robert?
No, you're the only one that texted me this weekend,
Sent him a
Eric.
great present, man. Gave him 1 month's free 1 month free prescription of Cialis for 30 days, man.
Oh, stop it. What's he going to do with that?
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, right.
What's the matter with you?
Give me a break.
What's he going to do with that?
I won't even go there.
Watch his porno.
Go there.
What is
Oh
wrong?
my God.
So, do you frequent the massage parlors, Robert, like the Beeb does?
No, that's Joe's bailiwick. I'm going to let him do that. But anyway, let's move on to the purpose of this show. Joe, you've been on point all day today. Outstanding points on pretty much all of your points.
Oh, give me a break, will you? Are you serious? Now you're going to jump on Joe's bandwagon? Come on.
I did send him the Cialis. I did send him the
Did you hear the
Cialis.
points
Eric?
I was dropping earlier?
Hey, Eric.
You kidding
Hey,
me?
Eric. Now, Eric, when you make good comments, I always point them out. But today, Joe has been on point more than you have.
He sucks.
Give me a break. I watched that DAZN card last night, and I've always said that Sergio Mora doesn't belong in that job, and last night was a perfect example of that. He was trying to tell everybody. He was trying to tell everybody that fight was competitive. Hell, it wasn't competitive after round one. You could tell right away that it was going to be a one-sided beatdown. If not, the only thing that could have saved it from being a one-sided beatdown is if Zepeda would have knocked out Diaz, because that's how one-sided it was.
And Robbie, they kept acting like Joe Diaz was going to land that one shot to turn the fight around. He's just not that guy. He's not a one-punch knockout guy. Oh, there's 3 rounds left. There was 3 rounds left in the fight, and then Mora goes, "Oh, well, this fight's not over. I mean, still 3 rounds left. JoJo can pull this one out." No, he can't pull it out. Like, what evidence do you have to suggest that he can pull out? When does he ever stop someone with one punch later in the rounds? Never.
And JoJo Diaz only has 15 knockouts in 35 fights.
Right.
I mean, you gotta know the history of the.
Even you could have done a better job last night commentating. Even you.
Absolutely, I could have, because I pay attention to fights. I know what I watch. I know what I see, and I could tell from round one that this thing is not going to end good for JoJo. Just like Vasily Lomachenko. If that fight is made with Devin Haney, it'll be the last major payday he receives, because I wouldn't be surprised if Haney doesn't shut him out 12-0 in that fight. Lomachenko beat who he was supposed to beat last night, but he is not going to beat Devin Haney. There's no possible way.
I've been saying it. Are you there?
Sorry about that.
Why don't you get it prepared before you call here?
out, man.
You
You call into
know.
the show. You need to be prepared, all right?
Right. He calls on a truck phone. You know what I'm saying? He got it. He got at the local, flea market or whatever.
This is the prime reason why the powers that be had to cut you loose because you're not prepared.
The powers
No,
that be.
anyway. That fight is going to be a complete mismatch. My only caveat to that is, as I know you said that. My only caveat
do you have
to that is
do you have a stenographer in your house right now that writes everything down that me and Eric say, and then you just call in and read it back to us? What's going on with you?
No.
This is some birthday call. I'll tell you what.
Bring some original thought to this call. Don't just parrot with the Beeb and Eric Luna's head. Mother of God. No wonder why you got the pink slip, but go ahead.
Give me a break. Oh. Don't start with that, Joe. Come on. And I just finished complimenting you, and that's the things I get. Okay.
I'm a carpetbagger. You know how I operate.
Yeah. Anyway, that is going to be a complete mismatch. My only caveat to that is I don't know if Haney can stick around long enough, because I would love to see him fight Shakur Stevenson, but I don't know if he can stay in 135 long enough to do that.
But they'll eventually catch up to each other. I think they'll both end up, like Eric said earlier, finishing up at 147. Both of them. I think.
Yeah, I think so too. They're both big enough.
Yeah, they're both big enough.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I because I think the future Stevenson Haney fight will be one of those super fights that you can build up, and I would love to see those two in the ring.
Okay.
There you go. All right, Robert. Yeah. Happy birthday. We're gonna get moving here.
You.
Remember, only take one of those pills every 3 days. Don't go
crazy with it. Don't go crazy.
Because one is good. Don't think because one is good, two is going to be better. We don't want you poking holes in the wall.
It doesn't work that way.
We don't want you poking holes in the wall back in Cali, right?
Yeah. What's he going to do?
Joe, give me a break, huh?
Yeah, Joe. He doesn't need those pills. What's the matter with you?
Yeah, give me a break.
Yeah, he's only 58. There you go. All right. 805. 805, you're live.
Hey guys, what's going on?
Nacho.
Get off those Quaaludes.
Steve, stop it. Jesus, I know you're.
How you doing, Nacho? How you doing this fine Sunday,
okay.
brother?
So,
how you doing this fine Sunday, brother?
I'm good, Beeb, except for you always trying to bust my balls for some weird reason.
Some dumb reason, anyway, Nacho. Just some dumb reason. He doesn't like it. He just has to start something.
Yeah.
He is.
I'm a cantankerous old man. I'm getting
exactly.
Go ahead.
So, in regards to Loma, I mean, to a certain extent, yes, he's declined a little bit, but I mean, the rust and the time off definitely is a factor. You got to give Ortiz some credit. I mean, Loma wasn't fighting some nobody that legitimately had no business being in there with him. The kid is huge for being a 135 pounder.
Yeah.
And he won some rounds and he gave him trouble. I mean, Beeb's right in that Loma gets hit more at 35, but it's not like he's facing guys that are necessarily his size. He's taking on guys who are a lot bigger than he is and still able to, hold his own against them and even beat them. And so the fact that, he still was able to give Ortiz trouble and then take over the fight in the second half of the fight and not really, Ortiz really wasn't effective at all. He ran out of gas pretty much from the 8th round on. I mean, Loma just took over and he legit, won that fight. I think 117, 111 was ridiculous. Like, whoever scored that fight that way is nuts. I thought you could give him, at worst, I thought the fight was 8-4, but I scored at 7-5 for Loma.
I did too. Yeah, I had a 7-5.
Just a couple points.
Yeah.
He won. But Beeb, like I said in the chat, I think the biggest thing is going to be, will Haney be able to squeeze down to 35 and not look like a Walking Dead cast member for that fight against Loma? That's going to be the biggest question, because he literally did not look really good. He's just very fortunate that he fought Kambosos, who legitimately couldn't get out of first gear at any point in time in that fight, and he was able to just safely outbox him and not really have to expend any energy. But I think against Loma, it's going to be a whole different ball game, in that he's going to be able to, you know, come at him and set the pace and really try to get Haney tired. So there's some questions on both sides, but like you said, let's hope the fight gets made. Yeah.
But Nacho, Lomachenko is a slow start. He's a slow starter. He's notorious for really starting off slow for the first 3 or 4 rounds. He gets behind early, right? Haney can coast.
Over. Yep.
Haney can coast.
He's not going to start sooner.
He doesn't fight at a fast pace. He doesn't fight at a fast pace anymore. He's not a volume guy, Lomachenko. He doesn't start at a fast pace, right? And here's another thing you guys keep
forgetting. He's not a volume guy, but he definitely.
Guess where Jermaine Ortiz is from?
He's not a volume guy, but
we don't fuck around over here. Would you think he was going to walk in that ring and not give him a good fight? He's from fucking Mass.
He was fighting a dead man last night, Beeb. Give me a break. The guy was just back from war. He's been off for a year. How good was he really?
I mean, we're used to war. We come from
you talking about guy. I mean, listen. It's not like he was in there against Duke Reagan last night.
People from Massachusetts. I mean, come on. We fight wars every day. We're in the concrete jungle over here, man. You know how it is here. Walk a higher path over here.
We don't.
We walk a higher path over here, man. But go ahead, Nacho. Proceed.
It's not title time, I'll tell you that.
And then, what's it called? Eric just brought it up. I wanted to talk about that Duke Reagan. Man, LeBron got hosed on that one. There's no way Reagan won that fight.
What?
Yeah, he got hosed.
Are you
There's no
kidding
way Reagan
me?
won that fight.
Did you watch
Eric,
that fight?
How many times? Yes, I did watch that fight.
Son.
To me, Reagan literally held on for dear life.
Dominated
in the second half of that fight. And not only that,
I'll tell you this.
He spit his mouthpiece out multiple times, Eric.
No, you know what?
Come on, Eric.
His mouthpiece was a boil and bite mouthpiece. It was a boil and bite mouthpiece. You could see it. Of course, it's going to drop.
Yeah,
you know what?
And whose
he
fault
didn't
is that?
have.
That's Reagan's fault.
It is, but to his credit, he went in there and fought anyway. Duke Reagan would have fought without a mouthpiece.
He should have had points deducted for that. He should have had points deducted for that. He did that like multiple times.
For not having his mouthpiece, his regular mouthpiece, and going in there and fighting. Give me a break.
He spit the mouthpiece out on a
First
few
of all,
different
he didn't
occasions.
spit the mouthpiece out. He did not. The mouthpiece did not fit properly.
Come on.
It slipped out of his mouth. Come on,
Whatever
it fit like OJ's gloves. All right, that's how it was.
Oh, come on. If it doesn't fit, you must have quit. Is that what you're resorting to now, Eric? Come on.
That's right.
That's ridiculous.
I thought Duke Reagan won every minute of every round. It was a whitewash. Like I said, I thought 79 was too far, too wide. It should have been 80.
No, that's insane.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Come on. No, that's just the hometown homer. And
that was like an 80-63 fight.
Every round.
Duke Reagan was killing him.
That's crazy. No,
crushing him.
Come on.
I mean, it was a massacre. How could you even condone that?
No, I can't believe you're condoning the fact that he got away with spitting out his mouthpiece.
Got away.
And they gave him all these ridiculous calls. Like, come on.
Oh, man, it was an easy win from my man Duke Reagan. How about he was on the main event? They put him on the main event, baby. There it is.
And then, and then just lastly, that JoJo Zepeda just put it on him. Like Beeb said, the fact that the DAZN team was openly trying to, cheerlead for him in that fight was just ridiculous. Like, it's like, dude, you're supposed to be unbiased and neutral. They were just as bad as Tim Bradley and Andre Ward were a couple weeks ago for the Shields Marshall and the Baumgartner Meyer fight. You cannot be openly rooting for somebody to win and call yourself an objective observer and commentator. Like, that's just ridiculous. The fact that guys do that and then try to turn around and say, like, oh, I'm an unbiased. Come on. No, you're not. Because you're openly rooting for people, and we can hear you saying who you want to win. Like, that's insane that these guys
Nacho,
do that. And then,
and Nacho,
yeah.
Whenever you hear an announcer say, I need so-and-so to do this, why do you need him to do that? Again, do you have money on him?
Exactly.
I mean, ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like, that's the point, that the part that's just like, come on. Like, if you're openly saying that, then you're really rooting for a guy to win. You're not being unbiased in any way, shape, or form. Like, that's crazy. So, but anyway.
Nacho, what did you think of the
guys,
Katie Taylor fight?
People.
What did you think of the Katie Taylor fight?
It's exactly what you said, Eric.
Sucked,
it was
did
just
it? It was terrible.
A sparring session.
See?
Yeah, it was just
and why is it when
session.
Nacho says it? Why is it when Nacho said it's okay when I say it, I'm the bad guy?
I mean, I expect more from you, man. I mean,
you expect more from me.
Nacho calls in here half. Nacho calls in here half
we
asleep.
Expect this, we expect this from Nacho, but not from me.
Nacho calls in here half asleep half the time. I can't take him serious always.
All right, Nacho, we're going to get running.
Can we just set up?
What's that?
All right. See you.
All right. 410, you're live.
What's up, guys?
Hey, what's happening, man?
Hello.
Yes.
Hey, man. I got a lot to say about the Lomachenko fight, so if you don't mind, I'm just going to ramble through a few points and get it off as quickly as I can.
Sounds good.
First off, I'm going to say right off the bat, I thought Loma lost the fight. I thought he lost it 7-5. Secondly, I'm going to say this. His opponent is not only a player or a black sheep in the division. He's a straight up contender for anybody in the division right now. That kid Ortiz, I was impressed with him when I seen him beat Jamal Herring, but I didn't want to overcredit him because Herring was old and a little worn out, coming off a loss. But I was very impressed with him. But he showed last night the poise for that kid in his first 12-round fight and his first title fight. I had him slightly edging Loma in the fight. However, boxing, like life, it's all about perception. If Loma would have done what he should have done, which was to come back and fight a mid-level contender, maybe someone with a little bit of a name, but a mid-level contender, he would have looked like the Matrix, and he would have did a number on the guy, and the whole perception of the Haney matchup would be different today, both by you guys and everybody else. But he chose to fight a undefeated, super talented fighter. I'm telling you right now, this kid Ortiz is the goods. And credit to Lomachenko for doing that, but from a marketing perspective, it probably wasn't the best move. That's why I'm a fan of Lomachenko. The fights he takes that are in between fights are better competition than most of these other guys are fighting when they're fighting their best fights. And Devin Haney is a perfect example. Devin Haney right now is overrated. His 2 wins over Kambosos and getting all those undisputed titles in one fight has got a lot of people overrating him. Now, that's not that he's not good. Of course he's good. I don't count the Linares win. He was 37 years old, had already been stopped 5 times. He got beat every time he stepped up. When he fought Gamboa was a 39-year-old former featherweight. And yeah, he won and he beat Gamboa easily, but he should have. Devin Haney's a good fighter. He's a little overrated right now due to the Kambosos fight. He got the WBC title gifted for him, and he fought for undisputed against one opponent in one fight. Okay, he beat Kambosos. He's better than Kambosos. No argument there. Couple points of intrigue. Devin Haney is not just struggling to make the weight. You've seen in the ring last night. He is probably a walk-around junior middleweight. 135 is going to, sooner or later, that's going to catch up to him. It could be the next fight, or maybe, if he fights over, maybe it won't be. But at some point, that weight cut is going to catch up to him. Also, Lomachenko had been a year inactive, and there's a war in his home country where I'm sure he has relatives. That had to be a distraction. So when you add all those things up, I would still slightly favor Haney right now because Loma's slipping a bit, and Haney's very good at controlling distance, like B said. That's going to be the problem. Is he's bigger, he's got all the physical advantages over Loma, and Loma can struggle with that. But it's mostly, it's that coupled with Haney's control of distance, because Loma is not going to be able to get inside easy past Haney's jab, and when he does, Haney will grab him and hold him, just like he did to Kambosos in that fight. And so he could win the fight 8-4 Haney, or maybe even 9-3, because he'll use those type of tactics to get the victory. I got it. Maybe 55-45 in favor of Haney, but I don't think people should be misled. And like I say, I had Loma losing that fight last night in a close fight, but I thought that Ortiz edged it. But perception is a great deal of how we look at potential matchups. And Lomachenko could have came back and fought a slightly lesser opponent, and he most likely would have looked like the Matrix and all that shit that people talk. And the whole perception today would be different. So every night is different. Every fight is different. Haney was able to get past Kambosos. Lomachenko is a bit of a different animal. And also to add Lomachenko in that fight against Haney, not only would it be for the undisputed titles, it's also basically a career make or break fight for Lomachenko. So he's going to come super prepared, and I think it's going to be a competitive fight. I edge Haney right now, but anyone who thinks it's going to be an easy cakewalk is fucking absolutely deluded.
Are you serious? So, okay, let me ask you a question. Then we are completely deluded. Let me ask you a question. You had Loma losing the fight last night, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you had Loma losing the fight, and you're claiming that this guy was better than he was. This guy is pretty good, Jermaine Ortiz. I think Loma should have. I know Haney would have walked that guy last night. That's number one. Number two,
you don't know that. You don't know that.
Fair enough, because they haven't fought. But I have a suspicion.
And I don't know that.
I have a suspicion that Haney would have dog walked that guy last night.
He would have been a plus 2,000 if he fought Haney last night.
Absolutely would have been a huge underdog.
Well, you had a suspicion that Canelo was going to dog walk Golovkin in their third fight, and didn't happen.
He absolutely did. What was the score? What were the scores in that fight, Beeb?
I mean, Golovkin probably won.
You had him stopping. You had him stopping Golovkin, and
he should have stopped Golovkin.
All right,
should have stopped.
If you win a fight 10 rounds, if you win a fight 10 rounds to 2, I mean that's a pretty.
I mean, yeah, that's a one-sided fight. No,
that's a one-sided fight.
And if Loma had so much trouble against Ortiz, and you said so you said if he would have fought a lesser guy, but he didn't. He fought this guy Ortiz. So now he's going to fight another guy who I think is 10 times better than Ortiz, and Devin Haney.
Well, you think that because Devin Haney has gotten more opportunity and more promotion than Ortiz.
Right, but this guy just got an opportunity last night and couldn't make good on it.
I mean,
well, like I said, I thought he won the fight. Plenty of people thought he won the fight.
I don't know of anybody that thought he won the fight. I mean, every card I've seen,
several people think that he won.
I heard, I've heard 115, 113 for Loma, and that's what I had it, by the way. But I couldn't make a case for Loma losing that fight last night.
I don't think Loma lost that fight.
Well, I could, and I'm a Loma fan. I just call it right down the middle. And so when I say to you that Golovkin Canelo 3 wasn't a cakewalk, it wasn't a cakewalk.
Absolutely a cakewalk.
It was absolutely a cakewalk. Golovkin won 1 round. I gave Golovkin 1 round. How is that not a cakewalk?
You got to calm down. You're breaking up. I can't hear what you're saying. You're too loud. You're breaking up.
How is that not a cakewalk?
Whatever your signal is distorted.
How is that not a cakewalk? How is that not a cakewalk?
Well, did the fight go to the distance? Did Golovkin ever get knocked down or hurt?
He won one round.
He didn't.
He won
so that means
round.
It was a competitive fight. Yeah,
the fight was 8 rounds to 4. It was 8 rounds to 4.
Yeah. Okay, 8 rounds to 4. So Canelo won 2/3 of the fight.
Right.
Last I checked, that's a fairly competitive fight.
That's not competitive.
But my point is this: Ortiz. Well, what's not competitive is what you suggested, which is Canelo was going to destroy and stop Golovkin. Then you're talking about a non-competitive fight.
He was in defensive mode.
And there's no knockdowns.
So what you're saying is if someone doesn't get knocked out, but they get blown out of there 10 rounds to 2 or 9 rounds to 3. So what you're saying basically is that's not a blowout. So when Devin Haney beat Kambosos 10 rounds to 2.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm saying.
That's not a blowout. Okay, so you're saying any fight that doesn't end in knockout is not a blowout. That's ridiculous, brother. I'm sorry. I got to call you out.
That's what you're saying.
That's ridiculous.
That's what you're saying.
That's what you're saying. You're saying because Golovkin did not get knocked out, he wasn't beaten decisively by Canelo. Not one person on the face of this earth. Not one person on the face of this earth. Not one person on the face of this earth is going to say to you that Golovkin was competitive against Canelo in the third fight. Not one.
Incidentally, I had 117-111. I had that fight 117-111.
I had a 118 and 110.
I don't know that you speak for I don't know that you speak, Beef, for everyone on earth, but the point is this. I heard the prediction from your partner there.
Ask people.
I don't need to ask people. I'm a long-time boxing fan. I can draw my own conclusion. I got no problem with the 8.
But you have to understand you're in the minority. I said Bradley beat Pacquiao. I admit I'm in the minority because everyone else had Pacquiao. Majority of people had Pacquiao beating Bradley. I had Bradley beating Pacquiao in that fight. I can admit I'm in the minority. You're in the minority in your opinion.
Well,
sir.
that's fine.
You're in the minority in your opinion.
That's fine. That's fine. Judging fights are subjective, and that's my whole point. Everything is about a subjective view. If Loma would have fought a lesser opponent, he would have shined, and the perception today would be different than what it is. The guy took on an undefeated, young, super talented fighter, and Loma even said, "This guy knows boxing." He knew what he was getting himself into. And I've even admitted, and I'm probably in the minority, I guess, that Lomachenko lost the fight in my estimation.
Okay,
however,
so what makes you think he's competitive against Haney? If he had a hard time against this guy, why is it? And you said, sure, if he fought a lesser competition, he may have looked better. I get that. But he's stepping up his competition again by fighting Haney. This guy's not better than Haney.
Well, I mean, if I'm going to give you my opinion here. I think Ortiz is every bit as difficult as Haney. In fact, their styles are very similar. They're super similar styles, and their size is very similar. I just think Ortiz is a little bit faster than Haney and a little bit physically more stronger. However, the perception is Haney. Hold on a second. The perception, because
we got to start drug testing these callers before they come on. We got to start drug testing.
So you think Ortiz is faster than Haney?
Well, listen, I listen to you guys every week, and what I've heard you be wrong about is almost staggering. Okay, so it's not like I'm on an island. Yeah, it's not like I'm on an island.
You know what's even more staggering? The one thing you said today, that Golovkin Canelo 3 was competitive, that is more staggering than anything I've said in my whole life, sir.
I think the Ortiz comment that he's faster than Haney. I think that was to me that's
number 2. That's the most
I thought that was
that's number 2. That's number 2 on the staggering list. If you say one more thing, I'm probably going to fall out of my chair. I'm going to need to be resuscitated.
Fall out your fucking chair then, because I've heard plenty of the things that you talk.
Get me some oxygen here. Call 911. This guy's going to put me on the floor. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, get on the floor. That's probably where you belong.
Whoa! Whoa! That was uncalled for. I didn't.
I heard he spends a lot of time on the floor. You know what I'm saying? That's just what I heard, though. I don't know. That's what I'm hearing.
Way out of line.
Yeah, just like you were saying, giving Lomachenko shit for defending his country. He's not a soldier. Well, guess what? If you watch the Usyk interview prior to the fight, Usyk said that he had to do it, that he's enlisted over there. And if you're under 65, I think it's 65, you have to go and do that. That was an admirable thing for him to do.
I think
I guess that's missed on you.
He didn't have to do it, brother. He didn't have to do it. He didn't have to do it.
Well, yes, he did.
No, he didn't.
Okay.
They volunteered to do it. They didn't have to do it. They volunteered.
2 minutes ago, you spoke for everybody on earth, so I guess I'll just have to believe.
No, I spoke for the majority, brother. Again, I deal in probability,
You said
not
everybody
possibility.
on Earth.
In my world, I deal with probability,
Everybody
not
on
possibility. You want to talk out? You know what people start using outliers when people start using exceptions to the rule when they try to win an argument. In real life, you don't make decisions based off of possibility. You make decisions based off of probability. Is that correct? So let's be
Said by the guy
consistent.
that just spoke for
Let's be
everybody on Earth.
consistent. Let's be consistent.
You
Let's
be
be
consistent.
consistent. Let's be consistent. You're using exceptions and outliers to the rule because you want to win an argument. So it's that simple. It's a pretty weak
What's the
debate
argument?
tactic. It's a weak debate tactic.
Buddy, you a few minutes ago you spoke for everybody on Earth. Those were your words. And you're going to sit here and lecture me about using the exception?
Again, you're going to take out of context what I said, basically.
Right.
You're going to take out of context
You
what
said
I said.
everybody
The majority
on Earth.
I said the majority of people on Earth. I didn't say everybody on Earth. I said the majority of people on Earth would not say that fight was competitive.
And you can hear what you said. Okay. Well, look, we disagree on what a competitive fight may be. I thought both.
All right, you think 9 rounds to 3 is a competitive fight. You think 9 rounds to 3 is a competitive fight. I will say everyone on Earth will disagree with you on that one. There's not one person. There's not one person on the planet. There's not one person on the planet that's going to say 9 rounds to 3 is a competitive fight. And I'll stand on that one.
Well, I'm glad you're confirming what I said about you speaking for everybody on Earth.
Guilty. I will speak for everybody.
Understand.
I will speak for everybody. That's still not gonna freaking validate you. That's still not gonna validate because I'm speaking for everyone. Is that gonna validate the ridiculous point that you're trying to make that 9 rounds to 3 is a competitive fight? Is that your argument? So that's gonna cancel out the ridiculous statement you made because I said I'm speaking for everybody. That's you honestly believe that 9 rounds to 3 is you're gonna sit there and say 9 rounds to 3 is a competitive fight. Honestly.
Certainly can be, yes. Certainly can be, yes.
Jesus Christ. Oh my
you
God.
might need to take a couple shots of if you got some whiskey or something around there. I'm
certifiable. I don't shy away from that. I'm a couple sandwiches short of a picnic. Okay. Everyone knows that. Everyone knows that. I'm not ashamed of it. I'm not ashamed of it.
Agree on that.
I'm guilty as charged. You want to call me? You want to call me a knucklehead? That's fine. I'll concede the point. I'll concede the point.
Okay. Well, since I'm calling in, let me finish my point, and then you can huff and puff and speak for everybody in the world as much as you like. I also thought Haney Kambosos 2 was competitive, and I had Haney winning probably 9 out of 10 rounds.
All right, you had Haney 9 to 10. You had Haney winning by 9 to 10 rounds. Yeah. But again, he doesn't have to agree with me. Boxing, like so many things, is about perception, and that's how I perceived it. You see, Kambosos was never knocked down in the fight. He was never hurt and in trouble to the point where he was like in danger of being stopped. Really, that I could see.
Again,
did he
why
lose
does someone have to be knocked out for a fight to be non-competitive?
Hold on, bro. Hold on.
I don't
Let
get
me
this.
finish my
I don't
point,
get
and
this
then
logic.
You can talk. A noble little concept in English dialect is to refrain from speaking when someone else is speaking. Okay?
I'm trying to save you from yourself.
You got the panel and the show. You're going to have plenty of time to talk. You're not saving me from anything, bro. I've been watching boxing probably longer than you've been alive.
But it doesn't mean that you know what you're watching.
Fighters
I've been watching freaking ballet. I've watched ballet before. Doesn't mean I know what ballet. I'm a ballet connoisseur. I've seen freaking bobsledding before. Doesn't mean I'm a bobsledding connoisseur. Okay, I've only been watching something.
Ballet, because you're probably better suited for that.
Yeah. Okay. Whatever. You're probably better for pocket.
All right, that's it, man. You just want to argue, bro. I just called up to speak my piece and give my opinion, and you want to challenge me and speak for the world and just argue. So
I will speak for the world because I've never heard anyone on this planet tell me that 9 to 3 is a competitive fight. You're the first person I've ever, and I've been watching boxing longer than you. I've been watching boxing longer than you.
Sure you have. How old are you?
All right, gentlemen.
I'm 53 years old. How old are you?
All right, I got to step in here.
Okay, I'm 53 too.
There you go.
All right.
I've
When
been
did you start watching
for
boxing?
40 years.
Are you guys going to box anytime? Are you guys going to
When
box?
I've been
Ali-
watching
when Ali
boxing.
was the
I've been watching
heavyweight
boxing. I've been watching boxing since I was 8 years old, brother, and I'm 53.
Yeah, well, you must have been splitting time with ballet.
Well, whatever.
I've been watching boxing for 40 plus years. Ali
Okay,
was
I've been watching
heavyweight
boxing
champ
for
when I started
45
watching
years.
boxing.
I've been watching boxing for 45 years. What does that mean? Does that mean
You
I know
need
more than people?
45 more years.
Yeah.
No, you prove that
Yeah,
all
9
the
to
time.
3. 9 to 3 is
you
a
don't.
competitive fight in Bizarro world, brother, not in this world.
Okay.
That's ridiculous.
All right. Well, go get yourself a couple pills and some
All right.
NyQuil and
Jump back
calm yourself down.
and jump back into the real world. Let me know when you jump back into the real world and you're not on the and you're not in the fifth dimension where in that dimension 9 rounds to 3 is a fucking competitive fight. You're in Bizarro world, brother. 9 rounds to 3 is a competitive fight. What the fuck are you talking about, brother? That's ridiculous.
That's tough. All right, he just hung up. He just hung up. Dude, so you must have scared him.
In what world is 9 rounds to 3 a competitive fight?
I mean, was it more competitive than the first fight?
I don't think it was.
I mean, I thought that Kambosos made a better account of himself, but not by much. I don't know that I gave him any more rounds in the second fight than I did in the first fight. So yeah, man.
So by his logic, if you don't knock somebody down and you don't knock somebody out, then you can't win you can't win in a non-competitive fight. So if you win 9 rounds to 3 or 10 rounds to 2, that's a competitive fight. Was Mayweather Canelo a competitive fight?
No.
You thought it? I mean, I don't know if you.
I thought it was I had a bad judging
That's
night
a bad
that
example.
night, no question.
That's a bad example.
But no, I don't know that it was that competitive. I really don't. I don't know that it was that competitive. Again, that Kambosos 2 was competitive. It wasn't really competitive. I mean, it wasn't. I don't know that you can. To me, competitive. Steve Forbes and Oscar De La Hoya. I thought that it was competitive to the point where Oscar won every round, but I thought Steve Forbes was in the fight. You know what I mean? He didn't quit. That was competitive, but it wasn't. You know what I'm saying? I think I know where he's coming from, but I don't think it's hard to say the 10-2 fight was competitive.
I'll be honest with you. I don't know where he's coming from. I'm sorry. I don't know where he's coming from.
I think if the guy doesn't quit, the guy's in the fight. I get it. I get it was competitive that way, but it was not competitive on the scorecards. It was competitive in the sense that the guy didn't quit. The guy gave everything he had. I get you, but it was not competitive on the scorecards.
That was one of Triple G's worst performances of his career in the third Canelo fight.
I agree. It was absolutely bad.
How could that have been competitive?
I tell you what, I have no idea.
And that Kambosos fight
wasn't. I mean, you knew who won at the end of the fight.
Here's the problem with people's analysis of Devin Haney. If you don't like somebody's style, then automatically you're discrediting the guy as a fighter. If he has a style that you may not like, but his style is effective, then he should get credit for being effective at what he does. If you don't like the fact that he's not a knockout guy and he's kind of an outboxer, and when someone gets close to him, he grabs him. Kell Brook did the same thing. Amir Khan did the same thing. Floyd Mayweather did the same thing. You can go down the list of fighters. Klitschko was a jab and grabber. Johnny Ruiz was a jab. Yeah. But again, they were all world champions. They were all good fighters. So you don't have to like how someone wins. But if they win, they win. It's just that simple. Just say, I don't like how Haney fights. He's boring. That's fine. But to sit there and say that he can't fight, he sucks, it's just stupid. It sounds ridiculous when I hear people say that.
I mean, the fact that he says that Jermaine Ortiz is faster than Devin Haney. Have you seen Devin Haney fight? Man, come on now, stop. If
Devin Haney fought Jermaine Ortiz, Devin Haney would probably
my guess is he doesn't
round.
like Haney. And there's a lot of people like that who don't like Devin Haney. I get it.
And you don't have to like how he fights. I'll be honest with you. I was not a huge fan of Muhammad Ali's boxing style, but he was a great fighter. I like guys like Leonard. I like those types. I like boxer punchers. That's what I like. I like guys who can fight on the inside a little bit, guys who are versatile. Ali was an outboxer. I don't like guys who just outbox. Particularly Haney style is not the type of style that I like, but I respect it because it's effective. He's good at it.
Right.
It's that simple.
It's not a fan-pleasing style. I don't think anybody's going to, confuse that with Devin Haney's style. Devin Haney doesn't have a fan-friendly style. It's okay.
And I'm going to say something. Beeb, why were you so hard on that guy? Beeb, why were you so loud? Why were you going crazy? Because when you reach a level of ridiculousness, when something becomes so absurd, you have to step in. You know what I mean? Like he was just saying things that made no logical sense. Like no one on the, I'm going to say it again. I have not heard one person on this planet, right, that said Golovkin Triple G was competitive.
Was a close fight.
Yeah,
it was a razor thin. No, absolutely not. It was a complete one-sided blowout.
It was a
one-sided. It really was. Blowout. I mean, at no point was Triple G in that fight. Am I wrong about that? At no point, Triple G was in that third fight. No. And I like Triple G, man. I thought he won the first fight. I thought he was robbed on the first fight.
He was just saying things. He was legitimately irritating me with how ridiculous he was talking. He was just saying things that they were just so illogical. They were just so illogical.
I think what it was, I think that he's a Loma fan, but he's not necessarily a Haney fan. And I think that's where you get that kind of stuff. Because I think if he's being honest, he knows Loma's not going to beat it. I mean, he's not even going to be favored in that fight. You know what I mean? It just is. And you're being dishonest with yourself if you don't think Loma has slipped a little bit. If you don't think he's about a quart lower than what he was a couple years ago, you're being dishonest with yourself. You can see it. And he says, he fought Jermaine Ortiz, who was a top-level contender. Yeah, I get you. But what do you think he's going to do against Haney that's a champion? And that's better than this guy. How do you think he's going to look then? And I get two different styles. I understand that. I'm just saying I don't think his style matches up. If you thought Teofimo did a number on him, what do you think Haney's going to do to him?
I just don't get it, man.
Yeah.
That was ridiculous.
Sly Tendencies, thank you so much, brother. He says, let's go, Joe. Got him on the ropes. I agree.
That guy was ridiculous.
Beeb is great. There you go. All right. 267. 267, you're live. And then we're going to get to the news.
What up, guys?
What's happening? Who are we talking to?
It's Drew.
Oh, Drew. I'm sorry.
You the Irish?
The Irish.
I know something all day. I've been looking on Twitter, everyone on YouTube. Everybody's doubting Lomachenko, and I get it. He's getting old. He's lost his step a little bit, and we're going by maybe a couple fights, but because he didn't start Comey and everything, he looked somewhat bad against this dude. I knew that he was going to look rusty against this guy. This guy, he's not a bad fighter. He's probably going to be a good contender. And the thing about it is, one thing this dude can do that Haney can't is fight on the inside. But we're going to say, oh, he's going to hold him and everything. But no one really thinks Loma still got that little footwork that can flip to the end when he tries to hold him and hit him. I don't think this is going to be a cakewalk for Haney. I don't even think Haney wins this fight. I think Loma still wins this fight still. I think we're going to see a better Loma than we did in last night. And that's how I see it. I think Devin Haney can't fight on the inside. And even fighters that Loma's better than got in the inside. Jojo Diaz got in inside a lot in the Devin Haney fight. That's the only thing that kept him somewhat in the fight, even though I had it 9-3. But it would have been worse if he couldn't get in the inside. But I really think people are really counting out Loma a little bit prematurely and everything. This Loma that was last night, I don't think he beat Haney. But I think Loma's going to be better when he fights Haney because he's going to probably have more time to train. He's back in that routine of training now because he hasn't been training probably in like 8 or 9 months because of the Ukraine thing. I'm not going to use it, but end of the day, I just don't want people using excuses if Devin Haney loses to Loma that he's weight drained and everything. Because if Loma loses to Haney, I'm going to say, hey, Haney beat Loma. Doesn't matter if he's old or not. Loma is still a threat to these guys as long as he's still fighting.
Let me ask you a question, Drew. Do you think that Lomachenko has problems with bigger fighters?
A little bit, but
because he had trouble. He had trouble last night. He had trouble against Teofimo.
He did, but here's the thing: he adjusted, and those adjustments won him the fight. He was able to get inside those fighters. He was able to land punches. He was able to get his hands over the tall fighter. And here's the other thing: Devin Haney has never fought a pure boxer in his career yet. This is going to be the first one he fights. And everybody else he's fought has been a guy that does not move often, that goes to go after him. Loma moves. Loma's a pure boxer. Let's see what Haney does against a pure boxer. Doesn't matter. I know he's old and everything, but let's see what he does against a pure boxer and everything. Because I'll tell you the truth, I think Shakur Stevenson wipes the floor with Devin Haney. I think
that's more believable to me than Loma beating him.
Yeah, I agree. I would agree.
I wouldn't argue against a Shakur fight, but here's the thing.
No.
Here's the thing with Lomachenko. Lomachenko is not a physical guy on the inside. He's not a great inside fighter either. Orlando Salido mauled the hell out of him on the inside, right? Devin Haney is not a good offensive fighter on the inside, but I'll tell you one thing Haney is good at on the inside. He's great defensively on the inside. He knows how to nullify defensive attacks. He knows how to walk you back and position you where he wants to position you. Lomachenko has those short little arms. He's a mid-range guy. He's not an inside fighter. His style is not suited for Devin Haney, to be honest with you. Everything Teofimo Lopez did to Lomachenko, I think Haney can do probably even better.
Better.
He's taller, longer, and faster than Teofimo Lopez, in my opinion. And he's more disciplined, and he's better defensively. If you think Loma can win the fight,
himself open too when he throws punches.
Say again.
Haney leaves himself open at times to get hit.
I mean, everyone leaves himself open at the time.
Yeah, you have to leave yourself open. Yeah.
When you throw a punch,
you're throwing punches, you're going to leave yourself open.
You throw a punch, there's always some degree of vulnerability you're leaving yourself open to. But he recoups quicker. He recoils quick. He's got quick reaction time.
Well, here's the thing. That's because he's fighting guys that aren't that disciplined. Because he ain't fighting a pure boxer. Now he's going to fight a pure boxer. We're going to see how really disciplined he really is.
But what is a pure boxer though? I mean, what is a pure boxer? I don't think Haney's a pure boxer, and I'll tell you why. Because he's not as like, to me. You know who a pure boxer is? Terrence Crawford. You know why? He could fight on the outside. He could fight on the inside. He could fight on the mid range. He could bang you out. He could box you. He can outmaneuver you. Lomachenko is a finesse guy. He's a mid-range ambush type of fighter. He's not a pure boxer. He's not an out boxer. Haney's more of a pure boxer than Lomachenko is. You know what I mean? I don't think Lomachenko is a pure boxer. I think he's a guy who has a lot of flashy. Here's the thing, man. This is my opinion again, and I respect your opinion because you're presenting your argument in a logical way. The other guy was coming. The other guy was coming from the quantum realm. I don't even know if he had. I don't know what happened. If he was in a different time, fucking warp planet or whatever. But here's the thing, man. I think a lot of things that Lomachenko did because he's so flashy and the way he moves and everything. It's a lot of smoke and mirrors, man. It's a lot of smoke and mirrors. I think that he moves. He got a lot of flashy movement and stuff. But at the end of the day, like I said, man. He attacks in straight lines, bro. He attacks in straight lines. I'm not going to say he's not a good fighter. I'm not going to say he's not good at what he does, but he has not improved since moving up to 135. Was a much better fighter at 130, and he was a much better fighter.
135 is not his weight. 135 is not his weight.
He's openly said that he is too small for this weight class. First thing he said when Devin Haney walked into the ring yesterday was, he goes, "Are you a lightweight or a heavyweight?" And he said the same thing to Teofimo Lopez. Again, you don't get – when you have a guy whose main defense is his legs, your legs don't get better, man. Those are the first things to go as a fighter, man. You know, the odds will reflect this. We'll have it a 50-50 fight. I'm not disagreeing with you there. I just think Haney's going to win the fight clear.
The odds makers are going to have – I disagree with that, Joe. I think that the odds makers are going to have that fight. Haney is going to be a huge favorite.
You think so?
Absolutely.
Okay. Maybe after this performance. But I'm sorry for hijacking your call, Philly. Finish up what you were going to say. I'll let you go.
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm even going to go on the site and put a bet down on Lomachenko. Beats Haney. That's how confident I am in Loma beats Haney. Because I see flaws in Haney's game that Loma can explore. And I'll tell you the truth. If Loma don't beat him, he does secure Stevenson. I'm telling you that right now. He does secure Stevenson, moves up to 140.
I'll be honest with you. I don't know that he does duck Shakur Stevenson. I just don't think Top Rank puts them together. I don't think that either one of those guys are scared to fight each other. But I agree with you. If he doesn't get Loma, he's going to 140. And Shakur will fight a little bit longer before he goes to 135.
All right. All right. But I got to go, guys. Have a good night.
All right, man. You too. All right. Philly Drew. Good call. Good call. Yeah, Jerry's usually on point with his calls, man. Today he was a little off. I got to be honest. And I do think there's a lot of hate for Haney out there. I really do. And whether you like him or don't like him, you got to respect it. I mean, you got to respect his talent. You got to respect his, you know what I mean? He's not just some schlep in there.
Listen, I openly dislike Floyd Mayweather as a person.
Absolutely.
But he is clearly, in my opinion, by far and away, the best fighter of his era. And I would argue he's one of the best fighters of all time. I believe that. So, you got to take your emotions out of it.
Yeah, I'm not big on. Yeah, I'm the same as you.
I don't like Floyd Mayweather at all.
I can't stand it.
I don't like Floyd Mayweather at all. When I listen to him speak, my stomach turns. I just don't like him. But he's a phenomenal fighter. Phenomenal.
You can't take that away from him.
Can't take it away.
First ballot Hall of Famer. He's a fantastic fighter. Is he the best fighter ever? I don't know about that. I've got, I don't.
No, that's fine.
Believe that.
I think at least he deserves to be. You could at least.
But is he in the conversation?
Yes. The conversation,
absolutely.
And Hamid, with all due respect, that Jerry did not make any good points that call. I don't think he made any.
Just
that guy gets no love, man.
Oh, stop it.
I mean, if I saw him right now, I'd probably buy him a drink or whatever and take him out to dinner. I mean, it's not that I dislike the guy, but I mean, I don't know what happened to him today.
Yeah, he had an off day. Hey, listen, it happens to the best of us. Never happens to me, but I can sympathize with it, even though it never happens to me. There you go. All right, let's talk about the upcoming fights, Beeb, and there is a good one on the horizon here. November 1st, what is that, Tuesday? I guess that's Tuesday in Saitama, Japan. They love those weekday fights over there.
Yeah.
Kenshiro Teraji versus Hiroto Kayaguchi, 12 rounds for Teraji's WBC junior flyweight title and Kayaguchi's WBA super junior flyweight title. So there you go. November 5th from Abu Dhabi. Why is this fight in Abu Dhabi? This doesn't make any sense to me.
I couldn't figure this one out. I can't figure this one out.
Eddie Hearn, you know how it is, man. On the zone from the UAE, November 5th, Dimitri Bivol versus Gilberto Zirdo Ramirez, 12 rounds for Bivol's WBA light heavyweight title. Jessica McCaskill versus Chantel Cameron. That's a throwaway fight. That's a go to the fridge fight. Rachmanov versus Zelfa Barrett, 12 rounds for the vacant IBF junior lightweight title. Gao Yafai and Cal Yafai also on the undercard. Not a great undercard, not a great card, but that main event, that's what we're looking for. Dimitri Bivol versus Gilberto Ramirez. We're going to talk about that in just a second. Also, on Showtime, November 5th, David Morrell Jr. versus Idos Yerbasanuli. 12 rounds for Morrell's WBA. It's the best I got, man. 12 rounds for Morrell's WBA super middleweight title. Yoelvis Gomez versus Jason Rosario, 10 rounds middleweights. And there you go. So not a super great card there, but I'll definitely watch it. Definitely watch it. Beeb, I've said it since the fight was announced. Zirdo Ramirez is going to beat Dimitri Bivol. And Beeb, I've been ridiculed at every turn because Bivol's the guy who beat Canelo. Not a natural 175, but considered the best pound for pound. I guess he was the best pound for pound on the planet at that time.
We'll give him that.
Zirdo Ramirez, to me, is a guy that's never gotten his due. He's a guy, he almost reminds me a lot of Winky Wright in the sense, not his fighting style, but in the sense that he never really, until he never really got the credit he deserved until he was in the big fight. This, to me, is going to be Zirdo's big fight. And I believe he manhandles Bivol. I believe he outboxes Bivol. I believe he puts hurt on Bivol. I believe Ramirez walks out of here with a unanimous decision.
The big thing here is the southpaw stance of Ramirez and his jab. And his ability to fight on the inside. Now, obviously, Canelo's game was to get on the inside. But the problem with Canelo when he got on the inside was he couldn't land his shots. He couldn't put himself in position where he landed his shots. Because Zirdo is so much bigger and stronger than Bivol, he's going to be able to outmaneuver him on the inside in terms of he's going to outman him on the inside. He's going to, if the opening's not there, he's big and strong enough where he's going to force the opening. He knows how to split the guard very well. He's really good at throwing those short uppercuts and those body shots on the inside. And because his jab is so good, he'll be able to start the attack on the outside and finish it on the inside. Whereas Canelo was not able to start the attack on the inside. He basically mauled his way in, barreled his way in without a jab. Ramirez is not going to barrel his way in without the jab. Ramirez is going to jab his way in. He's going to hook off that jab. And, when he gets close, he's going to push Bivol back. He's going to lean on Bivol, right?
Bigger, stronger guy.
When he gets close, he's going to use that size. He's going to outweigh, he's not going to be in there, Bivol, with a smaller guy. He's going to be in there with a significantly bigger guy. And I think a significantly stronger guy, right? So if you're not able to stop that forward momentum of Bivol, you're not able to stop that offensive onslaught of Ramirez, then it's going to be hard. I think Ramirez, another thing he does much differently than Canelo is he fights a faster pace, throws a lot more punches, throws combinations, doesn't throw one punch at a time, works off the jab. Canelo doesn't throw a lot of jabs. Ramirez does. Ramirez throws a lot more punches, throws a lot more combinations. You can argue that maybe even goes to the body more than Canelo does because Canelo has started becoming a headhunter later in his career. So you got a guy in Ramirez who's not going to abandon the jab, who's going to fight at a faster pace, who has a better gas tank than Canelo, who's bigger and stronger than Canelo, right? And a guy who can fight on the inside and on the outside, right? And a guy who is going to not slow down, and when he gets close, he's going to use his size because that's the advantage. He's going to maximize his advantages where Canelo really couldn't, right? What was Canelo's advantage in the Bivol fight? Maybe you could say power, but that's even questionable at 170.
I don't even think he was. I don't even think he had power in there. As far as I thought Bivol was stronger. I thought Bivol was the better boxer. I thought Bivol kind of had his way with Canelo, to be honest with you.
So this Ramirez fight, I believe, is going to be very interesting, and I think a lot of people are going to be surprised next week because I think you and I are the only people who are picking Ramirez.
We're the only ones, Beeb. With everybody in the chat, there's no way, blah, 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 no way he wins. Bivol washes him, blah, blah, blah. We'll see. We'll see. Jerry's still in the chat, Beeb. You really got under his skin there, man. You really did,
Jerry,
man. Beeb, I think
Jerry,
you can apologize, man. I think
the one thing I don't do is I don't kick a man when he's down. I already knocked you out, so I'm not gonna kick you anymore, man.
That's
If you want
right.
If you want to call back in, you can talk. I won't even interrupt you this time. Call back in, and I'll just let you go, and I'll just pretend it's comedy hour.
That was uncalled for. That was a backhanded compliment.
But
I recognize that to be a backhanded compliment.
I'm going to extend
to apologize.
I'm going to extend the olive branch to you. Next time you call in, I will give you the floor uninterrupted, and I will try to
hijacking his calls, Beeb.
And I will contain myself. I will contain myself.
Maestro picking Zerto as well. I love it. All the experts picking, Zerto. What are you going to do? I mean, it is what it is, man. I told you. Zerto's the goods. I'm telling you, this is his coming out party, man. I'm telling you. I got a good feeling about this. Beeb does too. There you go. All right, news and rumors here. Jake Paul and Anderson Silva set a ticket record. Apparently, it was the highest grossing boxing event for ticket revenue in the history of the Desert Diamond Arena, formerly Gila River Arena, and the second highest grossing ticket event across all combat sports with 6 days to go until the fight. This was last week. When these numbers came out. How crazy is that, right?
Yeah.
Did you know where Jake Paul's from? Everybody comes out to see Titletown, baby. Everybody.
I heard he's from Ohio.
Absolutely. Titletown.
Yeah.
Look who jumps on the bandwagon. Babe. Robbie. Ringside Robbie. I've got Gilberto Ramirez beating Dimitri also.
Robbie, stop it, man.
Stop it.
You know why you're a fraud, Robbie? Because you waited for both of us to pick him. And when you were on the line when we didn't say who we were picking, right? You didn't pick him.
That's it.
So stop with the fraud.
Yeah, you can't do that.
All right?
Can't do that.
I know it's your birthday, and I'm trying to be nice to you on your birthday, but guess what?
He's trying. You got to give it to him. He's trying.
I've tried to be nice to you on your birthday, but guess what?
He done said it.
You want to act like a clown, you get treated like a clown.
Oh, come on. I think that's going too far, Beeb. Come on. I think that's a little too far.
I don't think it went far enough, to be honest with you.
I'm about having fun just like everybody else, but that's too far. Okay.
I set the phasers on stun for that one. I didn't even put them on kill.
Stop it. What's the matter?
Using basic Joe Habib tactics on him, not even
basic
advanced
Joe Habib tactics.
not even advanced Joe Habib tactics. I'm smashing him out with basic Joe Habib tactics. Imagine if with Jerry was on the line, if I went full all out highest level Joe Habib tactics.
Some fights just aren't worth happening, Beeb.
I mean, I said it on easy mode, and I was taking out Jerry with basic Joe Habib tactics.
Oh, that's terrible. Ryan Garcia, Beeb, and Gervonta Davis have agreed to the framework of a deal. What does that mean? I have no idea. They have agreed to the framework of the deal. Hey, you want to fight? Yeah, I want to fight. Okay, the framework is agreed. You want to fight for a lot of money? Yeah, that sounds good. The framework is made. Beeb, is this fight going to happen?
That's like walking in to a fucking, to a mortgage company or whatever, or you go down to the bank. I agree to the framework of this mortgage.
Right, and I agree to the framework.
I'm going to agree to the framework of a $100,000 deposit here, just the framework of it all. But I'm not going to actually give you the $100,000. But I agree to the framework of the $100,000. It's like, what the fuck does that even mean, bro? This is like ridiculous. This is ridiculous. This fight's not happening. It's never going to happen. So, I mean, let's just call it for what it is. They want to sit there and get into a pissing contest. Should the fight be on DAZN? Should it be on Showtime? Blah, 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 blah. It's kind of funny how, like, DAZN had no problem, letting Canelo go over to the, PBC to fight Plant. They had no problem with Joshua, fighting on Sky, right? So why not let Why not let go? Like, why are they holding on so tightly to Garcia? Like, if they really want to make the fight,
I don't know that they are. I got to be honest with you, B.
Okay,
listen, Terrence Crawford is a free agent, son, and he still couldn't make the fight with Errol Spence. He still couldn't make the fight with Errol Spence.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know, man. Like,
what's the common denominator here?
Yeah,
look, Beeb, Haney, and Loma were probably going to fight, right? Probably.
Yeah, PBC seems.
PBC is what?
Yeah, they're always
right.
They're always the deterrent. You're right.
Always the common denominator.
That's true.
Steve Kim
said the same thing on Twitter. I mean, I think he made a point. I think he made a good point, and I think you're
always the common denominator here.
You're right.
You know.
See Jerry, I can concede points. You know. See how
to land that right hand, Jerry. You got to know how to land it, Jerry.
See how this is, Jerry. I concede points sometimes.
Incidentally, Robbie resents you calling him a fraud. He just texted me to let me know. He resents you calling him a fraud. There you go. All right. Beeb, Black Prime. I told him early in the week. I told Maestro early in the week they're going to blow up because of what they just did. Because whoever is running Black Prime, let me just say this, knows how to conduct business, right? They know how. You know why Black Prime knows how to conduct business? Hang on. Let me just tell you. AB, son. Adrian the Problem Broner from Titletown itself, Cincinnati. And now, let me tell you what, Black Prime is going to the moon, Daddy. Adrian Broner has signed a 3-fight, 8-figure deal with my good friends at Black Prime.
Shout out to Blue Blood Sports, man. Shout out to Blue Blood Sports. I heard he put it together for him. He was an integral part of getting that Crawford deal done. I got to shout him out, man.
I'm sure he was. Yeah, I'm sure he was.
Shout out to you, Blue Blood. You didn't see the interviews? Come on.
8-figure deal, son. 8 figures. Come on.
I mean, that's how it's done, man.
Maestro knows. Everybody knows. Don Ramon says Black Prime sounds like a trash nice way to exclude every demographic that's not black.
Hey, don't say that. We're at this very moment. At this very moment, Ringside Reporter and Beeb Industries are in negotiations to what? Go over
Black Prime, baby.
We're already in negotiations with Black Prime, right?
I will tell you this, no matter what you think, Don Ramon, Black Prime loves us. They love everybody.
That's right. Shout out to Blue Blood Sports, man.
Black Prime has learned the mistakes of Triller. Absolutely. There you go. There you go. Beeb, in all seriousness, a 3-fight deal for roughly what? You got to figure what, $3 to $4 million a fight?
Maybe.
That's a because that would be, I would imagine it's low 8 figures, so you're looking at 10 million or something like that. But and granted, that's a lot of money. Don't get me wrong, but is Broner worth that?
I have an old saying: "You're worth whatever you can negotiate."
There you go. There it is. Hey, that's great, man.
Whatever you can negotiate, that's what you're worth, man.
There you go.
Right.
I love it. I love it, man.
I don't know, man.
All right. Some sad news for the PBC. Wilder versus Helenius reportedly did 75,000 pay-per-view buys. 75,000. Beeb, that is a rock bottom number. If I have ever heard of a rock bottom number,
that's bad.
$80 for that steaming pile of hot garbage.
I bought it. Oh
my God. I can't believe you bought that fight. Wait, I can. We're going to do an intervention on you soon. Trust me.
But I was able to offset my expenses because of that military discount. I got a $25 coupon.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Where do you get those at?
Well, because Comcast, right? they have this thing on the website. So you apply for the military discount plan, and they send you like coupons, and you can apply the coupons to either your bill, or you can buy like a movie or something with it. All you have to do is like take a picture of your DD-214, which I have so conveniently in my closet, and you just upload it and you send it into Comcast.
Awesome.
And they said thank you. They said thank you, Mr. Beeb, for your service.
Beeb, 75,000. This, I mean, really, like, this isn't much. I mean, that's not good for pay-per-view. That's not good.
It's not good. I think me versus Robbie on pay-per-view could sell more than 77,000 pay-per-view buys.
I think you may be right.
And I would even take a dive for Robbie because I feel bad for him.
Oh, come on. Nobody wants to. He doesn't want any charity. He wants to fight you.
I would even take a dive. I would even take a dive for him.
Oh, come on.
Make him look good for once in his life.
Oh, babe. Come on. What's the matter with you?
I'm so happy for him, though, man. How old is he now? Like 58, did he say?
58. 58 years young.
That's a great number, man.
There you go. Reese Mack says Wilder Helenius wasn't exactly a pick'em fight. Ain't paying $80 or whatever for that fight, especially the way things are nowadays.
Yeah.
I gotta agree. That was a lousy pay-per-view from top to bottom. It really was. That was not a pay-per-view card. Do you think this continues, though? Do you think they continue to put nonsense on there, knowing that return is like that?
Well, did you hear what AB said? They had like a video of AB talking about Showtime. And he's basically saying Showtime boxing is done. We've been hearing this. There's been rumblings that I guess Paramount's going to buy Showtime or take over Showtime. That Paramount network. I don't know if you've ever heard of them. They have like this.
I have, yeah, they're going to take over Showtime, right?
Yeah, that's what I heard.
That's what I'm hearing too. Yeah,
and there's also been a question on whether or not when they do take over, if they're going to continue with the boxing program, because
that's a big talking point. Yeah.
So I've been hearing rumblings about how Showtime has been having issues with their budget, and as I've said before,
was that a Showtime pay-per-view? That was a Showtime pay-per-view.
Yeah. So again, whenever you see,
dude,
yeah, because if you notice, most of these Showtime fights have been on pay-per-view because once again, they don't want to pay the rights fees for the event. So if you put it on pay-per-view, they don't have to shoulder the financial burden of the fight. So the fight, the fighter's purse, a great deal of the fighter's purse is dependent upon the pay-per-view revenue, right? So that in itself will tell you that neither Fox nor Showtime is really, committed to paying the rights fees for a lot of these fights. That's why they're all on pay-per-view.
Right. Yeah.
That's not a good thing.
No, no, it's not. And I predict that if Paramount does take it over, you're going to see the boxing slowly go.
And here's another
start to disappear from Showtime.
Here's another thing too. I'm going to say something that it is very cynical.
Now, Maestro's saying it was Fox, not Showtime.
The Wilder thing was a Fox. Yeah, I think it was a Fox. Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Same thing. Fox again, they're not going to pay for it. They're not going to pay for the rights fees either. They're not going to commit. But he's right.
If that was a Fox pay-per-view, yeah,
he's right.
Really bad.
He's right.
There's no way those executives could be happy with that number.
Yeah, he's right. He's right. It was Fox. But yeah, going back to what I'm saying, I'm going to say something very cynical. I hope like some of these like Showtime and Fox stop showing boxing, and I'll tell you why. Because we need to kind of centralize boxing. We'll never centralize it fully. But I think having too many of these platforms actually became a problem because now you had everyone signed to certain network deals, right? Certain promoters working with certain networks signing these long-term deals where they have the fighters attached to it. And then you have these things like, oh, this guy can't fight that guy because he's tied to this. This guy can't fight that guy because he's tied here. So now if you get rid of some of these platforms, in theory, you would have thought it would have been a good thing because more networks, more boxing.
Yeah.
But it kind of I think it oversaturated the market. Just like when you have a league and you start adding teams, right? The teams become weaker, right? Because more players are able to be in the league, right? And then you have with the teams, the league starts becoming watered down. I think now, because of all of these platforms that have been bringing boxing to us, right? I think it's actually diluted the sport. And now this is the reason why we have poorer matchups, right? And then you have these obstacles of fighter A can't fighter B because he's on this side of the street, that side of the street. So
Right.
I think it was better when we just had HBO and Showtime because we were getting better fights, were we or were we not?
We definitely had better fights. Better fights on HBO. HBO always had good fights, it seemed like.
There was
until the end.
There was less obstruction, correct?
Yes.
So again, I wouldn't be sad to see Showtime go. I wouldn't be sad to see Fox go. I wouldn't.
No, I wouldn't either. Because they'll come up on other platforms now. Will we still get the big fights? That I don't know. Who knows? Who knows? Conor Benn, your boy, Beeb, failed a second drug test, forfeits his license. He's going to lose a lot of time on this one. He's going to get suspended. What do you think? I mean, I want to say at least a year. At least.
No, he'll probably get more than a year because it's the UCAD in UK. They're a lot more stricter than we are.
So let me ask you a question. If he's suspended there and he comes here, would it still be the same thing? Would they honor the suspension?
I do believe, right, that the major commissions over here will follow suit because they don't want to lose credit. Like in other words, if he comes over here and decides to apply for a boxing license, a Nevada state boxing license, they're not going to want to lose credibility and allow him to fight, man. After knowing what, like, you know what I'm saying? It's bad publicity for any major commission to allow him to fight. Now, could he go to Saudi? Could he go to Abu Dhabi?
Sure, he could go there. Yeah,
they don't give a fuck. But to come
it's
over
his B
here,
sample, guys, not a second drug test he failed. It's a B sample.
Yeah, I don't know. Some people are saying he failed twice. They're saying he failed in July and he failed in August. I don't know. So I don't. That's what I.
He's got a lot of problems. I know that.
Yeah, he's got a lot of problems.
He's got a lot of problems. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, I don't think anyone would want to touch him with a 10-foot pole because it would affect their standing in the sport and it would make them look very, very not credible if they would accept that. You know what I mean? He would be like if Nevada was going to allow him to fight, then it would give the impression of this is just the wild West. And Nevada
typically Nevada usually follows those type of rules.
Yeah, they all Nevada, New York, California, they're not going to let him fight. Now again,
I mean, if he wants to fight, he can find a place to fight.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
The statement he made saying that I'll never fight for the British border control ever again. I don't know.
Not helping his cause, is it?
Yes. A couple people on YouTube said this, and I agree with them. Who's handling his PR? I have never, we've seen many fighters fail PED tests before in the past. And again, correct me if I'm wrong. Has there ever been a situation handled more incompetently and worse than this situation in regards to PEDs? This has just been a major fuck show to the highest of proportions. I've never seen it like a drug test scandal like this handled so poorly in my life.
I agree.
This has been a total fuck show. No one's looking good coming out of this, except
Conor is going to sue. My guess is that Conor is going to sue the British Board of Boxing. He's going to sue them. But as far as how much time he gets, that's going to be a big one. I mean, you're looking at a year off, 2 years off, maybe.
They're a lot.
A year off is a lot.
They gave Tyson Fury a 2-year retroactive ban for his nandrolone.
Yeah.
I don't see him getting off with anything less than 2 years. And this whole thing about, we're not suspending him for the failed PED test, we're suspending him for misconduct. Okay, what's the misconduct? I guess the misconduct is he failed the PED test. Again, why are they trying to fucking complicate this and just make this more ridiculous?
I think because I'll tell you what, because I think that if the British Boxing Board didn't step in, that fight could have gone off. And there was no reason for that fight to go off. Not when you know the guy has got PEDs in the system.
And the fact that you
that's what the drug was for. The drug wasn't. The drug is a estrogen suppressor. What it was. You don't take those. Guys don't take those unless. So there you go.
And the fact that they knew about this test, like the two tests back in July, and the BBOC was just sitting on this.
Well, did they know about it? They're
saying they did. They're saying they did. That's what's being reported.
Why did they just sit on it then?
That's the thing. Like, I'll tell you one thing. You know who looks the worst coming out of this more than anybody? Outside of Conor Benn?
Who I was going to say, outside of Conor Benn, who?
The BBOC.
They suspended him with no real. He's not even suspended,
and then he doesn't even show up.
Go off.
He doesn't even show up to the hearing, and then he relinquishes his license. Like whoever just voluntarily relinquishes their license, that's almost an admission of guilt.
Why not show up there? Why not show up there and then plead your case?
Why not hold on to your license?
Right.
And deal with the repercussions of the hearing and the investigation.
Right.
But by you just voluntarily relinquishing your license, saying I'm never going to fight for the BBOC again, and you're acting like you were treated unfairly. Like what was done? You were given probably more leeway than anyone I've ever seen in this situation, because you almost were allowed to fight, and they knew about your failed test back in July, and they were still trying to figure out a way to let this fight go on. And who knows if the information wasn't leaked out there, if this fight would have gone on or not. We still don't know that.
If they knew, if the BBOC knew,
that's
back in August,
July, they're saying,
or July, if they knew back in July that he failed, then Benn's got a lawsuit. Or does he? I don't know, because he still cheated. But I don't know.
The reason why he doesn't have a lawsuit is I don't think you can prove that the BBOC violated any of their policies, because they do have a policy. So you know why this is why they're suspending him for misconduct. They're doing this to protect themselves, because you just made a great point. If they knew about it in July and they did nothing about it, that's their problem. So if they were going to discipline him for the drug test, then why did they wait so long to do it? In other words, so now what they're doing is they have something in their rules that says they could suspend someone for misconduct. So that's why they're suspending him for misconduct, because they were contemplating allowing this fight to go on and possibly doing the investigation after the fight. Sort of like when Fury had that issue with Christian Hammer, and then they wait for that fight to take place, and afterward, then they did an investigation on it. And then it came out later that he failed the PED test. So they've already have proven to be very incompetent in the way they handle this, the PED situation. Right? So that's the thing, man. That's the thing. So they fucked up the BBOC, because they knew back in July and in August, because what's being reported is he failed two tests, one in July, one in August. And they waited to what? When was this fight scheduled to happen? In September. Was this fight scheduled in October, right?
I think so, maybe.
Yeah, so they let this all play out and did nothing about it until October, when they knew like months prior, 3 months prior.
It's not a good look.
It's not a good look for them either. So I guess
it's not a good look for anybody there, to be honest with you.
I guess Eddie Hearn's thing is, his beef with the BBOC, and now I'm starting to kind of, understand his point a little bit. I still don't like how he's handling it, but I understand his point a little bit.
No, I don't like how he's handling it either.
He's saying to himself, well, I'm not the commission. I don't have the authority to, decide whether the fight goes on or not. That's up to the commission. And if they're not going to make that decision, or they're going to wait to make that decision, then I'm just going to, act like it's business as usual.
Right.
So what's he going to do? Is now could he just say, okay, I'm going to pull the plug on this fight because I know I don't want this to happen? then again, then he has a lawsuit. Then Conor Benn can sue him for breach of contract, because then Conor Benn can turn around and say, why are you stopping the fight when it's up to the commission to stop the fight, not you? You see what I'm saying? So now even though I understand, even though I don't like the way Eddie Hearn handled it and the way and the things he said, I kind of understand his position now a little bit, because he's saying to himself, well, if the BBOC is not going to act on this, it's not my place to pull the plug on this. I have an obligation to my fighter, right? So outside of Conor Benn, the biggest fuck up here is the BBOC, in my opinion. They fucking handled this horribly.
I agree. All right, guys, that'll do it for this edition of Ringside Reporter. As always, you can catch Joe Habib on Twitter at JHabib1. Find our YouTube channel at ringsidereporterlive.com. And you can find me on Twitter at ringside73. And we will see you guys next week.